Selection Sunday felt a little bit different yesterday, didn't it?
In what regard?
In most years, we're sitting there getting on Google Maps and trying to figure out the difference in driving distance between Omaha and St. Louis and wondering if KU got screwed because of a 20-minute difference. This year, it's just kind of like, yep, they're going to be in Indianapolis. We don't even know where they're going to play, but it kind of does.
We do. Farmers Coliseum. Does that just not scream March Madness?
Who plays there?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't even know what it is. I know that's where it'll be. And I know I got to figure out how to get there.
Doesn't Farmers Coliseum sound like a bit of an oxymoron? I just don't think those two things... Like I can't imagine a group of farmers ever deciding to construct a coliseum in the middle of Indiana.
It'd be like playing at Aristocrats Hog Pen. Is that what you're saying? This is Basketball Friends. That's Nick Schwerdt. I'm Matt Tait. March Madness is back. We are elated. Everyone's elated. Kansas is elated. Who thought that they were going to be a 3 seed back on January 10th? Anybody?
At that point, we thought they were in line for a 6 or a 7 seed, right?
We talked about it here, right? Like the better move might, instead of a 4 or a 5, it might be to kind of tank a little and go get that 6. Well,
that was your idea. I don't know how many people you got on board with that idea, by the way.
At least one.
I mean, you went 8 of 9 down the stretch after going 3 and 5 in the month of January. That was a sort of dream scenario. Obviously a lot different as you embark on the NCAA tournament, and KU has a host of off-the-court questions that are going to be following them, I would think, at least for the next couple of weeks. We talked all year about how lucky this team got by not having to encounter any sort of COVID setbacks. They got unlucky at the worst possible time. Now the question becomes, Matt, is it a double-edged sword? Were you unlucky in that you start to have some COVID issues pop up as you enter the NCAA tournament, yet lucky that it only affected a handful of players on the team, whereas we've seen with other programs throughout the country, one player can quickly turn into 2 players, can quickly turn into the entire program having to shut down for a week or 2.
They've got to feel like they're playing with house money a little bit because they almost had it taken away from them. They did have the Big 12 tournament taken away from them, and that had to bring those thoughts and questions and fears into their mind about this same damn thing happened last year. What is happening, But now I feel like they're going to play really loose and just be so thankful to be playing that it may be a totally different approach to March basketball than we've ever seen here before, because everybody's seen KU as a very high seed, a 1 seed a lot, be tight at this time of year, right? And I just think this whole thing that's played out, I think it really stands to benefit them if they go into it with that attitude.
So here's what we know about where KU's at right now. Last Tuesday, David McCormick, Tristan Enaruna entered COVID protocol. It is important to note that we don't know if either one of them tested positive, if one of them tested positive. We just know they entered the COVID protocol on Tuesday. On Friday morning, another player tested positive. There has been speculation online that player is Jalen Wilson. You can sort of do your own investigations if you want, but KU has not stated and probably will not state publicly who that player is. We'll probably just find out this weekend when KU has their first game on Saturday against Eastern Washington and there isn't a player out there on the court with them. Bill Self has been adamant the entire time that both David McCormick and Tristan Enaruna will be back and available by KU's game on Saturday. The question I think that everybody has, Matt, is even if those guys are available to play, whether they had COVID or whether they were just wiped out due to contact tracing, how ready are they going to be to play that game on Saturday after not having been around the team for a week and a half, probably haven't practiced? You start to wonder about what kind of shape they're in, how much conditioning have they been doing? How ready are those guys going to be to play an NCAA tournament game on Saturday afternoon, and how effective are they going to be? And I don't think anybody, Bill Self included, knows the answer to that.
This is why these guys come here, right? To play in March Madness, to get a chance to win a national championship. So regardless of where their legs are, where their wind is, or how much of a toll any of this has taken, even if it was just contact tracing, and even if we're just talking about being away from the team and having a little rust that way, I think the fact that they get to suit up again and they get to play in March and and start their quest for a national championship, I think mentally that pulls you through. I think that overpowers everything. I do think there's some adrenaline that can factor into that. So I think mentally, as much as anything, they'll be so ready to get back to what they do and why they're here that it's probably less of a concern than maybe it would be in January or something like that.
I think the number one concern for KU fans are the COVID issues that we spoke of. Right behind that number one issue, we'll call it 1B, is your first round matchup. Do they have any tiny white guys who like to shoot threes? And I am here to report that Eastern Washington does have a small 6'4", yet 175-pound white guy. His name is Jacob Davison. He was the leading scorer in the Big Sky Conference last season at 18 points a game. He did have a game earlier this year where he went 9 of 18 from three-point range for 31 points. So all of your fears are manifesting right in front of your eyes, Jayhawk fans. There's a chance we could have an Archie Diacono, Farouk Manesh, Davison triumvirate of tiny white guys. I'm sure I'm missing a few who just go bonkers from three against Kansas. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it is officially on the table.
Who was that against? 9 of 18.
I'll tell you what, it wasn't anybody who's in the tournament. Southern Utah, and it was in a losing effort to Southern Utah back on January 16th. Does that change anything for you?
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy's a great shooter, right? We can all give him that, but I would imagine that he has not seen the kind of defense that Kansas plays. And, maybe they'll do something with their offensive game plan to combat that. But Kansas will not let him go 9 of 18.
Well, to your point, he has only started 3 games since then. He was benched less than a week after that game. And he has a combined 12 points in his last 3 outings. So things have changed significantly for Eastern Washington over the last couple of months.
There are some other things about Eastern Washington that are noteworthy as well. They don't play much defense. They certainly don't steal the ball or force turnovers at a very high rate. They give up a lot of buckets at the rim or in tight. Paging Mr. McCormick, please report to the paint. They're going to have to show up and play. Everybody knows that. 3 seeds are 119 and 21 in the history of the tournament. This is going to be a game that KU has to play well to win. They go play their game and do it at a high level. They should be okay.
I mean, Bill Self said on Selection Sunday, and he said this before, that, the tournament is 3 2-game tournaments. You look at those 3 teams that you could potentially play. I guess in the case of Wichita State Drake playing game, you've got 4 opponents: Eastern Washington, those 2, and USC. Eastern Washington, I mean, you could have had Arkansas's draw where you're playing 14-1 Colgate, who I think is number 9 in the net. Maybe that goes to show how useless the net is. So I don't know much about Abilene Christian or Morehead State or any of these 14 seeds, but just looking at the profile of Eastern Washington, it's not a team that jumps out to me and says Kansas is going to have their hands full in that one. I know a lot of people look at USC with Evan Mobley projected to be a top 3, maybe 2 pick in the NBA draft next year and think that Kansas got a tough draw there. And maybe they did, but there's also a reason that USC is a 6 seed. They're 4-4 in their last 8 games. They've been a pretty average team over the past month or so. So you can get into the specifics of, well, I wish we had this team's draw. I wish we had that team's draw. Overall, though, for these first 2 games, this first 2-game tournament, I really don't think KU has it all that bad. They're
4-4 in those games, and it's not because of him. No. I mean, in his last 2 or 3 games, he scored 26 points. So there's sort of the proof that that's a guy that can get his and they can still lose. You might have a road where KU has to play Evan Mobley and then Luka Garza. You want to talk about the importance of David McCormick. That dude better be ready to play some ball, because if he's not...
Let's lay that out, because you just kind of mentioned it there. The potential big guy matchups that KU could see: Evan Mobley, Luka Garza, Drew Timme, Hunter Dickinson, Kofi Coburn. Like, KU could literally go on a 5-game stretch, and I don't know how many people are projecting KU to make the national championship. Spoiler alert, filled out a bracket last night. I don't have Kansas cutting down the nets. If you were to project it like that, you could see a road where KU literally plays the 5 best big guys in the country. All right, it's time for another edition of Name That Player. Matt, I will give you a quote from Bill Self in which he is talking about either a current or a former Kansas basketball player. It's your job to identify which player he's talking about. It's tournament edition, so win or go home. Time to put up or shut up. All the March cliches. Survive in advance. I think that's all that I have. Bracket busted.
One shining moment. Here it comes.
Here it comes. Okay.
Predicting it. Hey, I spent some time studying this week too. I thought for 7 seconds earlier today, I wonder if Nick's going to ask me a quote about a tournament player. So I'm more ready than I've ever been.
We'll see about that, bud. Here is your quote for today. From a talent standpoint, he's probably not as prepared as Josh Jackson, but from an intangible standpoint, he's probably as prepared as anyone we've had. Name that player.
Oh my God, this should be easy, I feel like.
Cue the Jeopardy music.
Yeah. This should be easy. Oh my goodness. You're gonna have to give me a few minutes. I'm not even conjuring up a guess yet. I'm gonna get there. I feel like I'm gonna get it too. I just need to think from an intangible standpoint. Okay, give me.
I'm just so disappointed in you that you did this.
You should be. So my answer is Bryce Thompson.
That is incorrect. The answer we were looking for is one Marcus Garrett.
Oh, that's crap.
On whose behalf?
I don't like it.
In what regard?
I don't think he said it.
You don't think he said it. And now I feel like you're taking shots at my integrity, and that's something I just won't have.
No. I know he said it. A few years back, our paper was sold. That led to some changes, and that led to me becoming the full-time Kansas basketball beat writer. On the first day that I had that title, came home and was ready to have some dinner and hang out with my family and the whole bit. 5 minutes after I pulled into the garage, this new kid named Marcus Garrett committed to Kansas. And I got him on the phone, true to form, as we've seen throughout these last 4 years. He didn't have a whole lot to say. Pretty quiet, one-word answer. And I got off the phone and I thought, oh my God, that guy hated me. What's the deal there? Come to find out, that's just him, man. And he's a no-frills kind of guy. And he's had a hell of a career.
I just can't wait for this episode to drop and Marcus Garrett to watch it and then clarify once and for all that you did not misconstrue that situation. And he has indeed always hated you.